What's up, y'all? Sparty here, and I want to do a quick video on what everything the LG G6 has to offer. Now, this goes by what every video that I've watched on the G6 today, which it just has been revealed today. So there has been a lot of videos on it, but not everybody has talked about everything that the phone is going to offer, you know? So I'm going to talk about all that I know so far about it. Now, it's going to have a 5.7 inch 18:9 display, which is a 2-to-1 ratio, which means essentially that when you go to split screen mode, which I don't have two apps open, so I don't even know I tried to do that. Yeah, I always forget how to do it. My bad. I don't use it that much. So say you go into split screen mode, there'll be two perfect squares. So as you guys can kind of see right here, they're not necessarily perfect squares. They're like, one looks a bit taller than the other. But on the G6, those will be perfect squares. And it'll be a 2880 by 1440 display. So a bit higher resolution, but not that much. Now, as far as, it's going to be an IPS LCD display, which I kind of figured. I'm not too bent out of shape about it. It's not that big of a deal to me. If they go OLED with, the V40 or something, I'll be cool with that. But with the G6 has a Quad HD IPS LCD display. Now, it'll still have the fingerprint scanner on the back. It'll still have your dual cameras with the wide angle lens and stuff like that. It won't have your color depth and your laser autofocus, but it'll have two dual 13 megapixel cameras. And I believe that there'll be larger sensors, like akin to like pretty much every big phone last year. The Pixel and the iPhone 7s and the Galaxy S7, Note 7, and S7 Edge. It'll be like that where they'll have larger sensors, so they'll take in more light. It'll still have an f1.8 aperture. And despite the fact there'll be dual 13 megapixel sensors, it'll still be a regular angle and a wide angle lens. And I'm not necessarily going to talk about all the software features because it's kind of better to do that with the phone in hand, but I'm going to talk about the overall build. It'll be metal rails and glass front and back. And that pretty much means that there will be no more removable battery, but it'll have a 3,300 milliamp hour battery, which is a little bit of a bump from this one, which is a 3,200 milliamp hour battery. And it'll have dual channel wireless charging in the US model, but overseas it won't have that. Like everywhere else, I don't think it'll have that. And also, every model but the Korean model won't have the Hi-Fi quad DAC that they've been talking about for the G6. So I don't necessarily know. I'm kind of conflicted on which one I want. Because as much as I don't really care much for wireless charging, and I prefer, high quality audio, obviously. And it's kind of stupid to me that they did that, but I guess their reasoning is, okay, there seems to be more audio files in Korea and whatnot than there seem to be in the States. So I kind of get that, but even then, I don't think that's necessarily a great move. Now, it does have IP68 water resistance as well, and it has stereo speakers as well. So, and it'll have 32 gigabytes of internal storage, and then we'll still have your micro SD card slot for expandable storage up to 2 terabytes. Now, that's a lot of good things, and it also have the Snapdragon 821, which I talked about in the video before, where yeah, sure, it's not the 835, but the 835 isn't available to a mass market yet, so you can't necessarily get on LG for that. It'll be available when the S8 comes out, but LG is also focused less on being ahead of the hardware race and being more attuned to software, something that Samsung needs to take notes on as well. And a lot of other OEMs need to as well. But as far as, this, it won't be like much more powerful than the V20, but I assume that it'll be more power efficient. And it'll also have 6 gigabytes of RAM, which is nice. A slight bump, but it'll be welcome. Now, I said I won't talk about all the software things, but I'll talk about some of the notable ones. Now, and now due to the aspect ratio of the display, since it's going to be a taller display than a lot of like beginning of the year flagships, not counting the S8 and whatnot. But due to the fact that it's going to be a tall display, as I said, certain apps won't, fit the entire display. So what LG is going to do is that they're going to have like some sort of software tweak where you can change the aspect ratio of the display for certain apps so that it'll fit the entire display. And that's really nice for games that you want to play a lot, And that's really a good thing to have, because it's not a nice and seamless experience if you don't have, the full display to your, using, not counting the V20 and its second display. I don't necessarily count that, but it'll be nice to have, a full 5.7-inch display to your, to your use, and have it so that games that you frequent will be able to use that whole real estate and not be like, not have bars on the left and right side. Now, due to the fact that it'll be a taller display also, it's been shown that it'll still be smaller than the iPhone 7 Plus. Now, keep in mind the iPhone 7 Plus is a big ass phone. So it's kind of actually cool that they still will have a relatively smaller phone, but it'll have a bigger display. And the other thing that's going to happen with the camera with the G6 is that it'll have manual video, and it'll have all the majority of the manual controls that the V20 has, but it won't have, your microphone setting, so that you can't set where you want the microphone to pick up majority of the audio from. But it'll still have every single one of these, and it'll have every other control, and it'll have focus peaking as well. So say you want to focus on something, right? You probably can't see it because the phone isn't my G4 isn't focusing, but and you probably won't be able to see it. But yeah, it's not showing it, but it doesn't really show it while it's recording video. But as far as everything the G6 is going to offer, I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be better, because certain markets is still going to be gimped, but it's going to have majority of the software features that the V20 had. Whereas with the G5 last year, it was gimped. It had none of the software features. And clearly they can't do the microphone, thing, because it's not going to have all 3 mics that the V20 has, which is cool with me. There has to be some differentiation, and thank God that it's just hardware and not software. and they want the V series to be tailored to a certain user. And the G series is essentially just, the mainstream user phone. Now, will I be getting the G6? I will. That's kind of a hard one because I do plan on it, but phones are fucking expensive. But as far as me getting it, I'm going to, but I'm kind of bent on which one I want. Do I want the Korean model that comes with better audio, or do I want the wireless charging one in the US? And I'm not necessarily certain yet. And also, if I haven't said it already, the G6 will also be IP68 water resistant. Some places have said IP67. Some places have been saying IP68. I'm just going to go with the latter and say it's IP68, which is on the same level as Samsung and their water resistance. But as far as the G6 goes, yeah, I'm going to get it. I do plan on it. I just have to work out funds before that happens. And I have to invest on whether I want the Korean or the American model. The only real reason I don't want the Korean model, there's been some issues with boot looping since the G3 with Korean model G series phones and even V series phones. But if I read it and it seems that that's not the case, I will go with the Korean model because I prefer higher quality audio. And also it won't have an IR blaster, it seems. I haven't seen one on there, which is cool. I'll still have this phone. I'll still have my G4. But they stuck with that as long as they could, as long as they wanted to. And even then, you still have Huawei that does it. So Huawei has IR blasters on their phones too. So if you value the IR blaster, either go with the V20, and it'll probably be on the V40. Who knows? Sorry, my voice is kind of giving, but it'll probably be on the V40, as I said, or just get a V20. And if you also value the bigger battery, then if you also value removable batteries, then get this too. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as what the G6 has to offer over this. As I said, I will attempt to get it. I don't know which one I'll get. I might go with the Hi-Fi Quad DAC, but if I can't wait, then I'll just go with the American model. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. This is Sparta, and have a good one.